Good Monday morning to you. Hope everybody had a pretty decent weekend. Personally, I'm doing a little bit better. We got more than an inch of rain over the weekend. It was getting pretty stinking dry out there. Um, so just a touch of housekeeping. I have had a couple of folks getting a hold of me, and they're getting some sort of a message when they click on the lecture. Well, first of all, thank you for the one of six people that actually tried to watch the lecture. But um, anyways, a couple of you are clicking on it, and you get some sort of message like you don't have access or access denied. The obviously you've worked around that if you're watching this, but if it does happen, try a couple things on for size for me. Try restarting your computer. Make sure you shut your browser down completely, um, and dump the history on it. What's going on is Canvas is failing to recognize your credentials when you log in and click on something, and it hasn't seen you log back in recently enough to let you into it. It's aggravating. I don't understand why it happens to some people when it does. I just wish it'd stop. I really haven't got anything more than that from you. If it continues to be a problem, I will email the links out to you. It seems like people can go ahead and get into quizzes and all that good stuff. It's just kind of limited to lecture. So, yeah, there we go. Today's lecture is still about hogs. I'm just going to take a little bit of a break from making you stare at one hog or another. We'll just have a little bit of a look at some of the other stuff that's important to know about. So I'm going to get out of your way. I'm going to kind of scoot through this. I don't need to belabor too much of this. Um, just looking at where the hogs are in the United States, they're in Iowa, and then most people actually have to learn that North Carolina is the next biggest hog production state. It's about half of what Iowa is. North Carolina has got the export market tied up. Almost 100% of the hogs produced and processed in North Carolina pretty much immediately get on a boat and head to the Pacific Rim somewhere. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to be shipping pork meat out of Carolina to the Pacific Rim, but we don't raise any hogs out here in the West. The rest of them are kind of what you'd expect. They're right there in the Midwest. They're just close to the corn. That's the point about hog production. Okay, when we look at it here, we got a different story. I'm just going to tell you about what's going on here in Washington State in the Northwest pretty quickly, and then we're going to get off of it. We've only got 24,000 hogs in this state. Um, we're we're not even on the radar, drop in the bucket. We're not even a drop in the ocean out here. Down at the bottom there, you can see Masami Foods. Masami is a Japanese firm. They own the only packing plant for hogs of any consequence in the Northwest. It's clear in the hell gone down there, Twin Falls, Idaho. 100% of the production through that plant is export. And in fact, I'm pretty sure they don't even bother with putting most of it on a boat. I think most of their production actually gets on an airplane, which makes it outrageously expensive to ship. The other thing is, I'm showing you this picture right here for a reason. Um, this hog has 2 inches of back fat on it. That's absolutely unacceptable by today's standards. However, at Masami Foods, the market in Japan says that's what it's going to be. And that's all there is to learn about that. Masami's wanting hogs that are built entirely different than everybody else in the United States wants. It's a very specialty niche market. That's really all there is to learn about it. Do not think for a second that you're going to take standard hogs out of the United States today and send them to Masami. If they see hogs get off the truck with less than an inch of back fat, they turn the truck around. So there you go. That's all there is to learn about hogs in Washington State. Um, yeah, uh, pretty much high 80s, somewhere in the 90% of hogs in our state have something to do with a kid taking it to fair. So there's nothing to learn here. But now then, getting back on track with actual swine production. Um, so here's a couple of things that make hogs really different than the other stuff we look at. You'll hear people throw the term at them, really plastic. That means that we can mold them really quickly, and we can actually change direction with hogs on a dime. And we can also make just incredibly fast genetic change, or progress, whatever you want to call it. We've got a super short generation interval on them. They hit puberty at 5.5 months of age. Um, so we can be plus or minus on that, kind of depending upon what breed and situation you've got going. But there's no reason to expect that any hogs need to go past 7 months before they hit puberty. Then the next thing that helps hogs with that generation interval is the gestation period. Hogs are 3 months, 3 weeks, 3 days. You can absolutely set your watch by it. That being said, you take 5.5 months plus another, let's call it 4 months just to be generous. That means I've got a litter on the ground and I'm progeny testing, or I am seeing what a brand new sow and a brand new boar can do in less than a year. You compare that to cattle, and hell, I barely got the ball out of them by then, let alone getting any progeny testing done on it so I can start making some genetic decisions right there. The other thing is, and here's what really counts, if you ask me on hogs, is this high reproductive rate. In typical swine production in the United States, we're looking at 14 baby pigs per litter. So yeah, if you assume, and odds are half of them are going to be female, that means every litter, and also you do the math on how long the gestation period is. I can get basically 2.5 litters out of a sow every year. That's giving me somewhere between 14 and 21 females to look at to be replacements into my herd. If I've got 21 possibilities to replace one sow, that's giving me a whole lot of chances at replacing that sow with something that's significantly genetically superior to what mama was. There is a fancy term for that. That's called your selection interval. The thing about it is, you compare that to a heifer, and I am at least 2.5 years out before I can even intelligently start to make a decision on whether this, maybe one heifer calf of that cow is good enough to replace the cow and make any genetic progress. Um, Over the lifetime of a cow, on average, I'm only going to get 2.5 calves out of each cow that's in the United States. For a sow, I'm looking at upwards of 50, 60 females, and I still had all the males to market. That gives me a whole lot of ability to be super, super picky about what females I'm running back into my herd. Same thing can be said for the males. The only thing is I don't need to replace the males 1-to-1 with females. With AI, I can one boar can handle upwards of 250 sows a year. So I can be incredibly choosy about what male end of the equation I'm using. This next slide just kind of backs up what I'm saying right here. Um, so yeah, at least 9 baby pigs weaned. At 2 years of age, I've got at least 27 baby pigs, plus she's 85 days bred with yet another litter. um, I'm less than a month out from another crop to select from. At 1 year of age with cattle, I've got 0 calves, and in fact, she has just had the bull turned out with her at 1 year of age. Or actually, we're 3 months away from that if you look at actual 12 month of age. A ewe, I'm looking at, she's gonna lamb here just momentarily. Yeah, sorry about that interruption. Whole point here is we can put some incredible genetic pressure on hogs, and if we decide we need more muscling and less back fat, by God, we can just flat turn it loose and get to work on that. So, a slide that I've added in is not come to find out not a lot of folks have actually dealt with the day in day out of hogs. So here's a little bit of terminology. This is going to show up in a quiz at you. So a gilt, that's going to be analogous to a replacement heifer. So that's a female hog that's intended for breeding by the time we get here. Before she's weaned her first litter. And then all of a sudden, magically, after she's weaned that first litter, that same female turns into a sow. Then probably everybody knew what a boar was. A barrel, that's a castrated male. The analogy is a steer. Nobody calls them piglets anymore, it's baby pigs. A term you hear kicked around a little bit is a feeder pig. That's when they're 40, 50 pounds. That's kind of after they've been weaned and they're standing on their own feet and we've taught them how to eat and they're kind of on a roll then. Last term to throw at you is farrowing. The direct analogy would be like, well, we're calving heifers. Well, you're farrowing pigs. There you go. Okay, next thing is I was just going to take you through a little lap of what the most common hog breeds and what their job is in the United States now. So, the different breeds of pig. Okay, first one here is Duroc. Those are the red ones. Those are the solid red hogs. They definitely fall into the terminal sire, the boar breeds, or the carcass breeds, you'll hear them called. Durocs are all about growth and feed efficiency. They grow fast. They do it at an economy of feed. This is the one breed of hogs that I'm going to tell you they put a little bit of time and effort into making sure they kept some marbling inside of that loin-eye area. You do not hear that discussed a lot inside of the swine industry, but I'm also, I'll bet you lunch wherever you want to go, that is going to become more and more of a discussion with hogs. They're starting to understand they got a little bit of a problem with those loin eyes are getting a little dry and tough. But Durocs are always going to be red. They're the solid red ones. That's another reason why they work so well in combination with other breeds. They bring some serious predictability in both color and what their structure is going to look like. They put a lot of work into making sure they've got some good standing hogs that are built right and keep their feet and legs underneath of them. this is a super solid breed of hog. Lots of good muscle on them, and as a result, there is a lot of Duroc out there. You're not gonna see very much in terms of Duroc sows. They certainly are not your best choice for a sow. Um, Genetically, they're not going to throw very many baby pigs per litter at you. They're probably down below 10 somewhere in what they're going to do genetically. We've got way better choices as far as how many baby pigs per litter. Um, they're not all that great on the underline. So if I can use my laser pointer in front of the navel, so the navel on this boar is going to be about right there. The teats that are, and obviously before somebody makes a joke at my expense, a boar is not in fact going to lactate. Thank you very much. If we were looking at a sow here, the teats that are placed in front of the navel outproduce the teats behind the navel 2-to-1. So a big deal on sows is we want to see how many functional nipples we've got in front of the navel. Duroc are not your best choice as far as that goes. Next breed, another carcass breed. Everybody ought to recognize the Hampshires. These are the black with the white belt hogs. It takes an eternity plus a year or two to breed that white belt out of anything once you've got Hampshire in there. Hamps are definitely one of the old standbys. Good carcass cutability. They kind of stayed at home and kept at work on making sure we've got plenty of muscle. They're pretty decent at growth. I'm going to tell you, Duroc may be a little bit better off than Hamps. A good solid hog. I started to tell you about hogs carrying this stress gene. Some wise ass down the line started throwing some Piatrin in with these Hampshires to muscle them up a little bit, and they brought that stress gene with them. That is no good. It got so bad, in fact, that there's a lot of hog packers that if they saw any black and white belted hogs get off the truck, they're rejecting a load. Um, there you go. They did it to themselves. It's unfortunate. There are some good Hamp hogs out there, but they got that Piatrin in them, and it brought the stress gene. Okay, now then we're shifting gears a little bit. Probably this breed is what you're going to see the most of in any percentage in the United States, and now's as good a time as any to tell you that for all intents and purposes, for commercial hog production, there is no more purebred hogs. We just don't use them anymore. There's so much to be gained from hybrid vigor that pretty much everybody runs crossbred sows, and almost everybody runs even crossbred boars now, particularly on the carcass side of the equation. So Yorkshire, these are white hogs. They are all about being mamas. Many baby pigs per litter. I think they're trying to get over that 14 baby pigs per litter threshold. As you can see, this sow is only going to have 15 functional teats on her, maybe. We are pushing the upper limit on how far we're about there on how far we can go on baby pigs. But yeah, they are all about milk production, and they are all about a whole bunch of baby pigs per litter. Now then, when you start throwing the carcass into the equation, they get left in the dust super quick when you start comparing to something like Duroc, Hampshire, China Poland, or Poland China, Spots, any of those type of hogs, they're going to get left in the dust. As a result, guess what? You see a whole bunch of white sows, and they get bred to colored boars. That's the way it goes. We've got to have one or two of these white boars around so we can replace the white sows, but beyond that, they are not the carcass breed. doing the best we can to make sure they don't fall entirely out of bed as far as carcass quality goes. There you go. Next one, landrace. If there's anything more than the Yorkshire, it might be landrace. Um, Again, this is where we're going to get the super heavy milk production out of. They've got really good underlines on them. They're great as far as baby pigs per litter goes. Maybe they get beat out by the other ones a little bit on baby pigs. So guess what? We've decided the answer is crossbreed those two white breeds to make the sows you want. Worked pretty good. I'm going to bring up another breed that's in there too. The Chester Whites will be here in a minute or two. Next breed, Berkshire. They look a little bit similar to the Hamps, but quality and palatability, they've done quite a bit of work on the marbling end of it. Good to throw in a mix. Then you've got the Poland Chinas. They're going to look a whole lot like the Berks. I'm told the face on them looks a little bit different. To be honest with you, I couldn't look at the two and tell you the difference, but there's lots of people that can. Poland Chinas bring with them a lot of muscle. They also bring a lot of frame. These are going to be what helps a Duroc get bigger. These Poland Chinas are kind of interesting. They're definitely a carcass breed, but they're not too shabby on the maternal end of things either. A lot of times we start running into some structural deficits on those white breeds as far as feet and legs goes, and those sows can't stand up for very long. We've got to remember that these hogs are born in a concrete box and they live their entire life on concrete. And if we've got any structural problems, boy, we're going to find them in a hurry on concrete. There are some people throwing a little bit of Poland China into their sow mix just to sturdy them up on those bones a little bit. Spot, pretty uncreative name, but there you go. They're gaining a lot of popularity the last 15 years. Really heavy growth. These hogs do know how to grow. As you can see here, they're pretty squared away on the muscle end of things. They're pretty durable hogs, pretty long lasting hogs. The longer you can keep any part of your female equation in the herd, the more profitable you're going to be. So the spot might actually help you with that a little bit. Okay, there's a Pietrin, there's those double muscled hogs. As far as I'm concerned, probably ought to eradicate them from the face of the earth. That stress gene ain't helping anybody. Beyond that, they've taken the muscle to the degree of which those hogs cannot get fat. We don't need them. They're kind of funny to look at in the show ring. They're a novelty act. They're a sideshow. Beyond that, you don't need to know much about them, I don't think. Okay, Chester Whites, another sow breed for sure. These are really pushing the envelope on how fast they mature and hit puberty. They're going to get it done a month faster than just about anything else. Another thing they're bringing to the table is for however they got it done, these Chester Whites actually make pretty decent mamas. Sows are the absolute worst mothers in nature. They'll lay on a litter of baby pigs and listen to them squeal to death and can't be bothered to stand up and let them out. So yeah, Chester White, again, as you can see, this is a great example. She's got a really good underline on her. They probably don't milk quite as hard as the landrace do, but they're bringing some other really great things to the table. So as a result, you're going to see a three-way cross on most sows in the United States. They're going to be Chester White, Yorkshire, and Landrace. Um, and we've arrived at a solution there that's not purebred, that's far superior to any of the individual breeds. All of the colored breeds, there's the pretty much everything you're going to see as far from the boar side. I'm going to tell you probably Duroc is what we're seeing the most of today, and for good reason. They are super great hogs. So that's what we got for today. We'll peel through the rest of this lecture tomorrow and kind of wrap that up. Thank you.